blue. Ah, that's terrible. Oh, well, I'll just have to explain that. All right, hello, everyone. I'm going to give it a few minutes for audience to build because this is unannounced. Well, I kind of announced it, but I didn't say when because I didn't know what the schedule here was going to be like. And yes, I do have a blue tongue. I just noticed that. That's because I've been enjoying multiple of these drinks today, and I intend upon enjoying a few more. But I wanted to do this from here, and it's not going to be a full regular broadcast. I was actually going to go over that last article, which I guess if people want me to, I still can, in the 1972 Libertarian Manual. But because I'm here at the LP History, that's why the microphone, it's my internal mic. It's not great. I'm not in my studio, as you can tell. I am at the site of the 50th anniversary in a dungeon. This room has such bad lighting, but it's where we've set up the historical stuff. You can see some of it in the background. But yeah, the lighting, it's quite intimate. Let's put it that way. I want to pull up comments. Hello, Amanda Gibbs. Thank you so much. And if you guys didn't see my Facebook status, in this week leading up to the LNC meeting, except for maybe a stream on Thursday night, I'm not going to be discussing really anymore the awful motion because I just want to forget about it and I want to just have a decent week and not be wallowing in it. However, man, and I am breaking out so bad. Sorry, I'm like a teenager. But Stephen Nicala has brought forth a substitute motion for mediation. We'll see how many people are interested, in my opinion, the people who are interested in solving problems rather than trying to throw people off will be the people interested, and the members can judge for themselves. That's my opinion. Can't prove opinions, correct? They're just opinions, and it's up to you guys to decide which has the weight of proof. But what I wanted to do today, because I have something special with me, and I keep assuming everyone knows this story, but I'm realizing a lot of people don't. So what I have with me here, and I want to show you, even though it's bad lighting, I'll bring it as close as I can. This is the very original, and you can see my webcam light in the reflection. Oh, and it's not focusing well. Where can I? Now it's focusing decently. This is the very original statement of principles that was at the 1972 convention. And it is the one that John Hospers had in his hand and wrote edits on, as you can see the handwriting on there. And you can see up in the corner, probably, the date. So this is one of our most valuable historical artifacts. Because as you know, the Statement of Principles is our founding vision, and it's virtually unamendable. And so this was at the 72 convention in Hosper's hands as he read it and proposed it. Doing a broadcast, not talking to myself, just have to tell everybody that as they walk in.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, yeah, it's quite important. And I'll show you where you can get a great picture of it, a high resolution picture of it. But I want to tell the story of how we came into possession of this. This was not always in the party's possession. In fact, this has, I'm doing a live stream, sorry, yeah.
That's okay.
Oh, did you want to see it? Oh, okay, yeah. So this isn't, it wasn't that this has been in the party's possession for the past 50 years and just sitting around. This only came into the party's possession a couple years ago. So we're going to go over the story of how this happened because it's quite incredible. The Historical Preservation Committee had an old, really, really shitty photocopy of this document. And we didn't know the provenance of where this photocopy came from. It just was something the party always had. We didn't know anything about it. But we had this photocopy that we were quite proud of because at least it was a photocopy of what happened, right? But it wasn't the original. One day, and it's the first day I've ever done this, I was on eBay. I normally am on eBay for clothing and things like that. But one day I was on eBay, and on just a wild hair up my ass, I decided to search Libertarian Party. And when I did, the first thing that came up, it wasn't framed, was just this document. Okay. And I looked at it and was like, excuse me? What am I seeing here? Oh my God. The first time I ever looked up anything having to do with Libertarian Party on eBay, this is the first item that came up. And because we had a photocopy of this item, it was easy to compare the handwriting. It was undoubtedly the genuine original. And the person who was selling it gave no information about it. So I want to show you, though, because we saved copies of the eBay ad because this was just so incredible. But the story gets more incredible. This already is pretty incredible, but believe me, it gets way weirder. But let me share my screen. Okay. This is Lpedia. Okay, Amanda, you were asking for a picture. If you go to Lpedia and look up original typed draft of the Hosper's Statement of Principles, you can see, and sorry for, we're in the middle of a room. You can see there is a picture right there, and you can download that. It's very high quality. And you can notice there's a coffee stain on it as well, which is interesting. And I have someone who has authenticated the coffee stain who said that they were present when the coffee stain was made, which is pretty funny. But going down here, all right. Here, this is the eBay listing, and you can see it ended up selling for $430. There's a story behind that as well. But this is the original eBay listing of when, this was August 7th, 2017, of when I searched for this and found it. So, as you can see, it came from California. And here's the photograph that was a part of the eBay listing. You can see the fingers of the seller. So that I was able to compare this to the photocopy, and it was undoubtedly genuine. Let me see what this is. This is the bid listing, so you can see all the various bids that were made. Okay, let me see. What else here? Oh, and I need to change these references because the original copy is no longer in the safe of Elias Rose. Alrighty. So, let me go back to my... And there's something else I need to add to that Lpedia entry, by the way. So, it got to $430. There were some friends of mine, fellow LP history enthusiasts, who were bidding and keeping an eye on it. And someone kept bidding against them. And it got bid up to $430. Who turned off the light? You bastard! So it got bid up to $430. And when it sold for $430, it was not to any of us. So we were heartbroken, thinking we saw this. It was in our grasp, and we lost it forever. And we were in mourning for a couple of days, but at least we satisfied ourselves. We consoled ourselves with the idea that if somebody... I can't use an Ethernet cord here, Mastix. I'm on site at a location. I'm using my cell phone. I know this is a choppy broadcast. I use Ethernet cable at home. Anyone who's watched my streams at home knows, but I'm on site. There's no Wi-Fi for me to go into. I'm just using my cell phone. So it is what it is, kind of, because I'm on site. But I appreciate your advice. So we were like, we consoled ourselves with the idea that if somebody paid $430 for a piece of paper of LP history, that they must love it as much as we did, and they would take good care of it, and at least we knew it existed. 2 days later, we found out it was another friend of mine who didn't know I had other friends of mine bidding on it. We probably could have gotten this thing for 15 bucks. The seller in California was probably like, holy shit, what the fuck's going on with this bidding war? So she made out like a bandit. So a few days later, after our 2 days of panic and mourning, a friend of mine, Lelius Rose, announced, by the way, I bought that item. And we're like, might have been nice to tell somebody you were bidding on it. But in any event, Lelius then donated it to the National Party, so it came back home. Now that story is good enough, to be honest with you. What are the chances? It was almost like kismet, like you. And what makes it even more important about it wasn't even that it was a rare piece of LP history, because there's a lot of rare pieces of LP history. What made it super special is those of you who've seen any of my talks on the Statement of Principles at state conventions know that, like, I would have the Statement of Principles tattooed on my ass if I could. Like, I'm passionate about the Statement of Principles. So of all people to find this one item, the fact that it was me was like destiny. It was super, super important. So I'm doing a broadcast, just, hey, I'm so sorry. So that is cool enough, right? So after Lelius purchased this item, and I'll show it to y'all again, because it's like, everyone here today, like when Tyler brought it from corporate, from national, I keep calling it corporate, I'm used to my job, from HQ, he had to carry it around with him because this is valuable. And he's like, it's like the freaking nuclear football. I can't go anywhere without it. So he was so happy when I finally showed up and he could turn it over to me. And then I had to take possession of the nuclear football. But I was used to it because this was in my possession for about 10 months while I traveled to conventions with it. Matt 6, you might want to look at some of my prior broadcasts on the Statement of Principles because it gets very complex. The Statement of Principles is like the one document in this party that can't be amended. In theory, it can be. In actuality, it can't be. It's unchangeable. So it is the foundation of our party. So after Lelius got this document, he got in touch with the seller to see what the background of it was, because all of a sudden, we framed it. The historical committee raised money, and we framed it. So Lelius wanted to know the background. So he got in touch with the seller, because we were like, where has this thing been for nearly 50 years? Because this was in 2017. It wasn't 50 years yet. It's like, it's weird for it just to show up. Well, here's where things get even weirder. Okay, even more. What a confluence of things that had to happen for it to end up back in our hands. Because, if she had listed it on a couple times on eBay and nobody wanted it, it probably would have gotten thrown out. Because what are you going to do with this piece of paper nobody wants? Instead, she ended up selling it for $430. But we got in touch with her, and it turns out her parents were the Gottliebs in California, who were OGs in the California party. And they both, one of them passed away and then the other passed away. And she was their daughter. And she was cleaning out their home after the second of her parents passed away. And she noticed in one of the rooms on the wall was this really shitty photocopy of a photograph of Ayn Rand's. You know what it's like when you photocopy a photograph, particularly if it's not a good photocopy machine, like photocopy machines would have been like decades ago. It's like a big black blob, parts of the photos. But they framed it. They framed this shitty photocopy of a photograph of Ayn Rand, and they had it hanging. And she's like, okay, my parents must have been getting a little loopy as they got up in years. But she liked the frame. Now, good thing she liked the frame, because she could have just tossed the whole thing in the trash. When she was dismantling the frame, this document was hidden behind that photocopied photograph of Ayn Rand that had been hanging in the Gottlieb's homes probably since the 70s. And all the chances are that this could have gone nowhere. It's amazing. And it's like it knew it wanted to go home. Isn't that quite an amazing story? And I cannot tell you how moved I am to have been a part of it. But yeah, now it is back home. And after finding people who were around in the 70s we found out more background, particularly from the person who validated the coffee stain, that John Hospers was in the habit of giving gifts of little bits of personal memorabilia to good friends. And he was often a guest in the Gottlieb's home. And he must have given this to them because they were very ardent party members as a gift. And for whatever reason, they decided to safeguard it by hiding it behind that photo and didn't tell a damn soul. So that is the story of the Statement of Principles. And I find it quite amazing. And very proud to be a part of it. A lot of you, well, you guys on this channel know a lot of me for my historical work, but some of you don't, who might be just visiting, who just know me for all the other shit I do for the party, like secretarial. You don't realize that this is actually what I do most of, is this historical stuff. You know, I spend my house, you don't even want to see my house, my poor husband, because it's been taken over. Because people just send me stuff. And we did, I think I have it in my briefcase. We did get some gifts of historical items while we were here. I'll show you what somebody gave us today. And this is so cool. So I got this folder. There's some things in it that don't have anything to do with the LP. Let me take that aside, but this is from the California 1997 convention. So it's just an old schedule and a registration form. But what's special about this registration form, look, I want to find, here we go. Let me get it focused. Look whose registration form it is. Dave and Elizabeth Nolan. Dave, if you don't know, is the founder of the party. So here's his registration form where he bought 2 Sunday dinners and 2 Monday lunches and attended that convention. Oh, and I got something else I want to show you guys. I'll have to get up and get it. And then just more information on that convention and something that we didn't have. The 1992 platform of the Libertarian Party of Colorado. So here's another bit of their platform history that's been restored. And the 1993 bylaws and convention rules of the LP of California. So these are 2 big pieces of history that now, you know, I'm gathering the lost sheep of the nation of Israel, in other words, into history. But I want to show you something else. I've got to get up and get it. And I'm going to go put this back on the easel for the last few visitors who want to come in and see it. So just give me 1 minute. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, I'm back. Elizabeth Nolan brought this to us. Okay, what is here is name badges from all of the LP national conventions from the 1970s. Let's see if I can get it in focus. This webcam's not behaving me. So yeah, so this is 72, 73. Here's where the Dallas Accord was approved, so 74, 75, and so on. So I thought that was super cool, all of these old name badges. And up front here, there's Dave Nolan. Oh, excuse me, not the lady, the dude. Looking, is it just me, or does he, in this picture, just the way, with the beard and the way he's dressed, he looks like Meathead from All in the Family. Sorry, he just does. And there's his first wife, Susan Nolan. So I thought that was pretty cool as well. I had never seen copies of those name badges. So that's some more stuff. And I meant to, now we're kind of wrapping up unless anybody has any questions, because in about a half an hour I'm going to need to they're going to be shutting down here and need to start packing things up. And I want to be sure that I'm available to answer questions for any of our guests. But I want to stay here a few minutes to answer any questions you may have about that little bit of LP history. And despite everything